Hello, Fright fans! Welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll recap more stories by Master Junji Ito. We will begin our journey with the events of the tale Honored Ancestors, which is about a person who experiences a traumatic event that causes her to lose her memory. Riza, a young woman, loses her memory and is carried home by Makita, her fiancé. The young man claims that the girl was lost in the streets after school and had no idea of her residence when she was found by him. The girl had terrible dreams that night, and when she woke up, she heard a knock at the door. After a brief delay, the door opens, allowing a spooky caterpillar to enter the room. When she tells Makita about this nightmare the following morning, the young man wonders what might have caused Riza to have a dream about a huge caterpillar. The girl says she doesn't know what caused that nightmare, but she claims it was terrible and felt very real. Makita offers her a stroll after that, saying that could make her feel better. They visit a park and take a seat by the river. The young man declares his love for Riza and says that he first proclaimed he loved her there while taking in the scenery. The girl had entirely lost her memory and had no recollection of anything for the first time. Makita then extends an invite to his fiancé to visit her home. He lets her know that his father is present. She wouldn't even need to see him, though, as he is quite unwell and seldom ever gets out of bed. When Riza asks the young guy at his home if his father's condition is critical, the young man responds in the affirmative. He once wrote novels, but he is no longer able to do so. His mother had passed away not long after the boy was born. Riza has reportedly visited that location a number of times, according to Makita, despite her lack of recollection. The girl wonders what it is as they hear a noise like something creeping behind the door. Riza shivers at the sound, but Makita claims it's only his father walking up. The elderly man enters the room after opening the door briefly. He and his future daughter-in-law were meeting for the second time. Makita requests that his father take a nap since he was too exhausted to exert himself. He did, however, claim that he must visit his son's intended spouse one last time before his body entirely deteriorates. Makita, though, tells his father that Riza had forgotten their engagement because she had lost her memory. The elderly man bids them farewell and informs them that he will go back to his room to relax. Riza recalls the emotion she experienced when speaking to Makita's father later, back at her home. She is certain that she observed something grotesque inside, but was unable to recall what it was. At that precise moment, her mother knocks on the door to let her know that Makita is downstairs and urgently needs to speak with her. Upon finding the young man, he explains that his father had fallen ill and was dying. He really wanted to see Riza one last time as his final request. The girl is taken by the arm and brought to Makita's residence. She discovers the most gruesome scene she has ever seen when she enters the elderly man's room. The man's head was covered with a long row of skulls. They joined forces to create the enormous caterpillar from Riza's nightmare. Makita adds that this was the fusion of their ancestors' skulls, and shortly after, when his father died, he would join them to maintain the family's eternal connection. His father shared all of their memories through the union of those minds. The elderly guy tells Makita that he will only live for a little time and commands the young man to carry out his duties because the family needs an heir. Riza says she remembers everything that happened at that very instant when she regains her memory. Makita then inquires as to if the girl recalls accepting his marriage proposal before stating that, in order to carry on that lineage, a child would need to be born. Riza, however, argues that she is unable to wed him and flees in the process. Makita is able to catch up to her after she stumbles over that row of skulls. He was ready to seize her when his head began to hurt, so he went to his father's room. Riza should take advantage of this opportunity to flee, but instead she goes to the bedroom to investigate what transpired. When she gets there, she finds Makita standing next to the elderly man's body with his skull split open. Makita is now a part of that demonic skull structure. The girl screams in despair and tries to flee, but Makita chases after her. Riza is so terrified that she may become paralyzed and lose her memory once more. Will the girl have the same fate as Makita's mother, or will she succeed in eliminating that evil family? Now we will move on to the next story called Tomiye Photo. Tsukiko participates in the photo club at her high school. She uses this as a justification to get images of popular young men to sell to other ladies. She sells the image of Kusakawato Machiko in the morning and quickly receives her payment. She acknowledges that it is the wrong line of work, yet she still makes some excellent money. As she considers the situation, she notices Yamazaki, a popular student, and takes quick action to take some shots of the young man. The girl approaches him and justifies her approach with the photo club in order to take some photos. The student agrees, but then he becomes aware that another girl was keeping an eye on him while he was being photographed. Tomiya Kawakami, a new student who serves on the discipline committee, is identified by Tsukiko. After seeing the entire exchange, the newcomer simply leaves without saying a word. Late at night, the girl celebrates the acquisition of the new photos and has in mind to sell them for a high price. The next day, Tsukiko puts her plan into action and knows that she will make good money from Yamazaki's new photos. But before she can start her sales, Tomie shows up and says that this is a dirty and very unethical business. She takes the images of the young guys that Tsukiko had in her bag as a member of the discipline committee and issues a warning that if the girl continues with the illegal activity, she will bring the issue up with the professors. The new student is merely taking advantage since the girl photographer is a member of the discipline committee, the new student claims, and the girl photographer chooses not to challenge the newcomer. When Tsukiko later discusses what happened with her friends, she learns that Tomiye was the reason why a student was suspended that day. The girls basically decide to be cautious not to mess up in front of her because they are aware of her power over the teachers. When the student photographer approaches Yamazaki in class, he requests that his friend take some photos of Tomiye. Accepting the request, Tsukiko pursues the girl to take pictures of her. She locates her immediately and hides behind some bushes to get some pictures. Even though Tomiye is aware that she is being followed, she exhibits no signs of anxiety. Instead, she acts sarcastically and asks Tsukiko to take multiple pictures of her to post around campus. The girl doesn't spend any time and quickly snaps several photos from various perspectives. An instructor then catches the photographer in the act. As she anticipates what would happen to the girl, the novice chuckles at the predicament. Tsukiko argues her case and says she's willing to lose her membership in the photographic club or perhaps get a temporary suspension. Tsukiko receives a printout of the images she shot of Tomiye at her house a short while later. She observes that the rookie's images are peculiar after viewing them. She notices that each one has a gruesome face that is affixed to the head of Tomiye. The next day, the photo girl scatters numerous copies of Tomiye's images over the school. Angered by this, the new girl requests that Tsukiko be expelled from the discipline committee from the students. Yamazaki runs to her friend that morning and urges her to hide since several students are trying to kill her. The young man then leads her to the photo room while keeping her whereabouts a secret. Yamazaki inquires as to why the girl disseminated numerous images of Tomiye across campus in the development room. In response, Tsukiko says she committed the act out of envy. She is, after all, in love with the young man. Yamazaki puts a rope around the girl's neck and starts to drag her with all of his might. He claims that he is doing as Tomiye has instructed him to do and that he will not pardon the little girl for what she did to his lover. Tsukiko then uses her remaining power to grab a bottle containing a deadly chemical used to develop photographs and throw the contents into Yamazaki's eyes after he adds that he would never fall in love with someone like her. Finally releasing her, the young man cries while his eyes are clearly in immense anguish. The young woman is able to flee the assault and make it back to her house. The following day, Tsukiko's mother inquires as to why her daughter doesn't want to attend school, but she receives no response. The woman informs the daughter that she will be left alone for a few days since she is leaving on vacation. The girl goes to the window a short while after her mother has left and notices that the young men from the discipline committee are at her door. She tries to lock the bedroom door while rapidly hiding, but she observes that Tomiye is already inside her house and standing at the end of the corridor. Tsukiko reveals to her that she is aware Tomiye gave the order to have Yamazaki kill her in the photo room. The girl responds that she didn't issue any commands and that she is unfamiliar with Yamazaki. She goes on to speculate that the young man might be so infatuated with Tsukiko that he made the decision to kill her on his own volition. Tsukiko is also offered drinks and nibbles by the newcomer, who insists that none of them are poisonous, but she decides it's best to refuse everything. The young photographer claims that Tomiya concocted an elaborate plot to have her suspended. The new student claims that nothing was planned and that this is simply a coincidence of fate. Tsukiko simply keeps quiet because she doesn't believe any of her statements. Tomie claims that she is reminded of her history when she looks at the girl's photos in her room. She claims to have visited various European nations and even met Pablo Picasso in person. Tsukiko claims that whatever Tomie says is false and that she doesn't trust a word of it. She claims that the girl suffers from a mental illness that drives her to consistently tell lies. When Tomie hears these unkind words, she panics and starts to reveal her real identity. Tsukiko initially believed it to be an act, but later realizes there is an eye on the girl's back of the head. The young men from the disciplinary committee arrive at the home to look into the matter as she cries and exits her room. Tsukiko screams and begs the young guys to cut the monster off her body as they hold her while they discover Tomie's head has an additional face. They then tie up Tsukiko and attempt to use a knife to remove Tomie's face. The students finally hacked off Tomie's head after repeated hits. They pondered how they were going to dispose of that body as the room was covered in blood. The two recall that Tsukiko was also present and could tell someone the complete truth. They try to threaten her, but the girl says she didn't see anything and won't say a word to anyone, at which point Tomie's other hidden face manifests and starts telling the young men to cut off her other face before she wakes up. At that point, Tsukiko collapses, and a little while later the two young guys leave the house carrying Tomie's head in a bag. The photographer is startled by strange noises, and when she opens her eyes, she sees the body of the novice student moving on its own. Tsukiko finds another head groaning swiftly in the spot where the other one was chopped off as she turns to face the girl. Tsukiko is approached by the body, but she ignores it and exits the apartment in pursuit of her old head. When the girl successfully escapes from her bindings and turns on the light in her room, she sees that there is blood all over the place. She thinks it's all a dream, but she chooses to tidy up the mess just in case. How would you rate this anime? Post it in the section below. For more anime recaps, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.